Wait! Before you do anything else this weekend, walk outside and check your garden. Because in the next few weeks, some of your favorite plants are going to die. Not from disease, not from pests, but from something completely avoidable that most gardeners miss until it's too late. I'm going to show you exactly which ones are at risk and the dead simple way to rescue them before the cold does its damage. Hey there, garden friends. Welcome back to Earthly Gardening, where we keep your green spaces thriving without emptying your wallet. If you're new here, you've just joined a community of thousands who refuse to let their plants become seasonal casualties. And to my returning viewers, thanks for coming back. You all make this channel what it is. Now, here's the deal. This information works best when you act on it, so grab your phone, open your notes app, and jot down what resonates with you as we go. Trust me, your future self will thank you when your plants are flourishing indoors while your neighbor's garden is frozen solid outside. All right, let's get into this. You know that sinking feeling when spring arrives and you realize half your garden didn't make it? Yeah, we're preventing that today. Because here's what most gardening advice won't tell you. It's not about bringing all your plants inside. That's overwhelming, expensive, and honestly, unnecessary. It's about knowing which ones are secretly tropical drama queens pretending to be outdoor warriors. So let me paint you a picture. You're standing in your garden right now. The temperature's still decent, maybe a bit crisp in the mornings. Everything looks fine. But underneath that calm surface, your plants are already preparing for what's coming. And some of them, they're straight up lying to you about their ability to handle the cold. Today, I'm breaking down the plants that need rescuing, why they're worth the effort, and the stupidly simple techniques that'll keep them alive without turning your home into a jungle. No fancy equipment, no greenhouse, just practical moves that actually work. Section 1. The sneaky tropical pretenders. First up, let's talk about the plants that fooled you all summer long. These are the ones that thrived in your garden beds, looked absolutely bulletproof, and are about to betray you if the second temperatures drop below 50 degrees. Number 1 on this list, your herbs, specifically basil, cilantro, and any variety of mint that you've got growing outside. Now, I know what you're thinking, but my mint survived last year. Yeah, it survived. But did it thrive? Probably not. Here's the move. Take cuttings right now. Not the whole plant, just cuttings. Stick them in water on your windowsill, and within 2 weeks, you've got fresh roots and fresh herbs all winter. Cost? $0. Effort? Maybe 3 minutes. Next, peppers. And I don't just mean the fancy ornamental ones. If you've got bell peppers, jalapenos, or any variety that's still producing, listen up. These plants are perennials that we treat like annuals because we let them freeze. Pot them up, bring them in, and they'll keep giving you peppers for months. I've had a single jalapeno plant produced for 3 years straight using this method. That's not gardening, that's an investment strategy. Geraniums. Oh, the beloved geranium. These things cost a fortune at the garden center every spring, right? But here's the secret the nurseries don't want you to know. Geraniums are ridiculously easy to overwinter. You can either pot them and bring them inside, or, and this sounds weird but stick with me, you can literally hang them upside down in a cool, dark basement. I'm serious. Bare root, upside down, and they'll come back to life in spring. It's like plant hibernation. Section 2. The container garden survivors. Now let's shift gears to container plants because these are the easy wins. If it's already in a pot, your job just got 10 times simpler. Succulents and cacti. I see people leave these outside every single year, thinking they're tough desert plants. Sure, they handle heat like champions. Cold? Absolutely not. Anything below 40 degrees and you're looking at mushy, rotted plants by December. The fix is brain-dead simple. Move the pots inside. That's it. Put them near a window, water them once a month, and ignore them. They'll be perfectly happy. Ferns. Boston ferns, maidenhair ferns, any of those lush, leafy varieties that made your porch look like a rainforest all summer. These need to come in, but here's the trick nobody tells you. They're going to look terrible for a few weeks. They'll drop leaves, they'll look scraggly, and you'll think you killed them. You didn't. That's just them adjusting to indoor humidity. Keep watering, maybe mist them occasionally, and by midwinter, they'll bounce back. Coleus. This one surprised me when I first learned it. Those vibrant, colorful coleus plants that everyone treats as annuals? They're perennials. Bring them inside, and they'll keep that color show going all year. They're also insanely easy to propagate from cuttings, so you can make 10 plants out of one and give them as gifts. Suddenly, you're the gardening genius in your friend group. Quick pause here if you're finding this helpful. Do me a favor and smash that like button. It actually helps this video reach more gardeners who need this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We put out money-saving garden tips every single week. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Also, drop a comment below telling me which plant you're rescuing first. I read every single one, and I love hearing about your garden wins. Section 3. The bulb and root situation. Alright, let's talk about something most people completely overlook. Tender bulbs and tubers. These are the underground treasures that'll reward you massively if you just give them a little attention right now. Dahlias. If you've got dahlias in your garden, you've already seen how spectacular they are. Those dinner plate-sized blooms, the insane color range, they're showstoppers. But they're also tropical plants that cannot handle freezing soil. Here's your move. Wait until after the first light frost, then dig up the tubers. Brush off the dirt, let them dry for a day, and store them in a cardboard box with some peat moss or sawdust. Keep them in a cool, dark spot, basement, garage, wherever. Come spring, replant them, and they'll explode with growth. One tuber becomes 3 or 4 within a year. That's multiplying your garden for free. Begonias and caladiums fall into this same category. Dig them up, store them dry, and replant in spring. It sounds like work, but we're talking about maybe 20 minutes total for an entire season's worth of blooms. Elephant ears. These massive, tropical-looking plants make your garden look like Jurassic Park all summer. The tubers are surprisingly hardy if you store them right. Same process. Dig, dry, store in a cool spot. They'll come back even bigger next year. Section 4. The tropical showstoppers. Now we're getting to the real divas, the tropical plants that absolutely refuse to tolerate anything resembling winter weather. But they're also the ones that make your space look like $1,000,000, so they're worth the effort. Hibiscus. Those gorgeous, giant blooms that make you feel like you're on vacation every time you look at them? Yeah, they need to come inside. The good news is they transition well if you do it gradually. Start bringing them in for a few hours a day, then overnight, then full-time. This prevents shock. Place them in your brightest window, keep the soil slightly moist, and they might even keep blooming indoors. Bougainvillea. Same situation. Tropical, stunning, and completely intolerant of cold. But here's the cool part. You can actually force them into dormancy if you don't have great indoor lighting. Put them in a cool room, reduce watering to basically nothing, and let them sleep through winter. They'll wake up ready to explode with color in spring. Mandevilla and Dipladenia vines. These climbing beauties are tropical through and through. Bring them in, give them something to climb on indoors if possible, and they'll keep that tropical vibe going all winter. They do tend to attract pests indoors, so keep an eye out for spider mites and treat them early if needed. Section 5. The practical stuff nobody talks about. Okay, let's get real for a minute. Bringing plants inside sounds great in theory, but there are some practical considerations we need to address. First, pest control. Plants from outside are basically pest hotels. Before you bring anything inside, inspect every leaf, every stem, every inch of soil. Look for aphids, spider mites, whiteflies, and scale. If you see anything suspicious, spray the plant down with insecticidal soap or neem oil and let it dry completely before bringing it in. This one step will save you from a full-blown indoor infestation. Second, space management. You probably don't have room for 47 plants in your living room, so be strategic. Choose the plants that either cost a lot to replace, have sentimental value, or provide something useful like food or fragrance. Everything else? Let nature take its course or take cuttings to keep a genetic backup. Third, light requirements. Most plants need less light in winter because they're naturally going dormant anyway. But some like herbs and tropicals need as much light as you can give them. If you've got a south-facing window, that's prime real estate. If not, a simple grow light bulb in a regular lamp works wonders. We're talking maybe $15 at the hardware store. Fourth, watering adjustments. Indoor plants in winter need way less water than you think. The air is drier, but they're also growing slower. Overwatering kills more indoor plants than anything else. My rule: stick your finger 2 inches into the soil. If it's dry, water. If not, wait. Section 6. The money-saving reality check. Let's talk numbers for a second, because this whole video is ultimately about not breaking the bank, right? A potted geranium at the garden center next spring will run you anywhere from $8 to $15. If you've got 5 geraniums, that's up to $75 right there. Or you could spend $0 and 30 minutes today bringing them inside. That's not gardening, that's basic economics. A pack of basil from the grocery store costs about $3 and lasts maybe a week before it goes slimy in your fridge. A basil plant cutting on your windowsill costs nothing and produces fresh herbs for months. The math isn't even close. Quality dahlia tubers can cost $5 to $12 each. You dig yours up and store them, and suddenly next year's garden costs you nothing except the time you already invested. Plus, those tubers multiply, so you're actually creating value. This is what I mean when I say gardening doesn't have to be expensive. The plant industry wants you to buy new stuff every single season. But plants are renewable. They want to survive. Our job is just to give them a fighting chance. One more critical thing before we wrap up. How you transition plants inside matters just as much as which plants you bring in. Don't just yank a plant from the full sun and stick it in a dark corner of your house. That's shock therapy, and plants don't respond well to shock. Instead, ease them in over the course of a week or 2. Start by moving them to a shadier spot outside, then to a covered porch, then near a door, then finally inside. This gradual shift helps them adjust to lower light levels and different humidity. Timing matters too. You want to bring plants in before nighttime temperatures consistently drop below 50 degrees. Some tropical plants start suffering at 60. Don't wait until the first frost warning. By then, you're in emergency mode and the plants are already stressed. When you do bring them in, quarantine them if possible. Keep new indoor plants separate from any houseplants you already have for at least 2 weeks. This prevents any hitchhiking pests from spreading to your entire collection. Look, at the end of the day, gardening is about working with nature, not against it. These plants didn't evolve to handle freezing temperatures, so we adapt. We give them a warm spot, a little light, and some basic care. In return, they keep growing, keep producing, and keep making our spaces beautiful without us having to start from scratch every single spring. The gardeners who succeed year after year aren't the ones with the biggest budgets or the fanciest equipment. They're the ones who pay attention, who act before problems become disasters, and who understand that a little effort now saves massive effort later. So here's your action plan. Walk through your garden this weekend. Make a list of what's worth saving. Get your pots ready. Check for pests. And start the transition process. Future you, the one enjoying fresh herbs in January and massive blooms next June, is going to be incredibly grateful. If this video helped you, make sure you're subscribed to Earthly Gardening. We're building a community of smart gardeners who refuse to waste money or lose plants unnecessarily. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me what you're bringing inside, and share this with anyone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and keep making your garden work for you, not the other way around.